We are back on Morning Line. It's our final segment this morning with Kent Oliver. He's the director of the Nashville Public Libraries. You know, Stacey Harris called earlier just talking about budget, and you know it's been tight for a lot of folks, and the libraries took it on the chin. For a while there, I was worried that some of the 21 libraries in Nashville might have to close their doors. Some did dial back on some of their hours for a while, right?
Right.
The funding of it, libraries completely funded by Metro government. Is there any other funding that can come your way? How does that work?
Well, we're very fortunate here in Nashville. We have a great foundation, the Nashville Public Library Foundation.
Where people can make donations.
They can make donations. Yeah. We have individuals, we have corporations, and they provide actually a couple $1 million a year.
That supplements whatever you get from the Metro government.
And they're the ones, for instance, the support, again, a lot of our great literacy programs that we have, the special programs like the Courtyard Concert Series that's going on now virtually. You know, the Salon at 615, which again has been virtual when we had the authors in. Just a lot of great programs that we do, and we couldn't do it without the foundation.
Oh, yeah. And
but I do want to make sure and mention that we're incredibly grateful to the mayor and the council this year, because they really stepped up, and we feel like our budget is turned around in the right direction. The big news, the exciting news, frankly, is that our library, all of our libraries have not been open on Fridays for years. And beginning in January, all of our libraries will be open on Fridays.
Wow.
Because
what hours will that vary?
Well, we'll have to review those, but on Friday it's typically 10 to 6. And then the other exciting news is we have funding to continue curbside service at a few of our local branches after the first of the year.
What do you mean curbside?
Okay, curbside, folks that have been using it have been excited about it, is that when the pandemic hit, we initially closed all the libraries for a few months, and then we reopened using a process where you could reserve a book at a local branch, and then you could come pick it up, and our staff would bring it out to you.
Gotcha.
And so we're looking, that service is still going on because the pandemic is still going on. And we will have funding after the first of the year to continue that service at, I believe, 4 regional branches.
Oh, that's great. Okay, and we should say that the libraries are open, but they are Metro buildings, and so you have to wear a mask when you're in the library.
Right.
Now.
I mean, you have to wear a mask. Our staff are wearing masks. I mean, it's the safe thing and the smart thing to do. We follow CDC guidelines that are so critical to pay attention to.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I mean, the mayor here recognized it. Mayors in other communities. I don't get to the libraries as much as I would like to anymore, even though I think they're wonderful places. You always feel smarter when you walk out after a day in there. But a library, much like the arts, much like parks, are such an important part culturally of what makes any city. To lose libraries would be a devastating blow to any city. And I know there's people out there saying, oh, there's children starving, you know, why don't we spend money on that instead of the library? Wrong, you can do both. And libraries are arguably not as important as feeding a child, but right after it, learning to read and having a place to go, just as important. And so it's great that our mayors and leaders recognize the value of public libraries.
Well, and the literacy component, again, learning to read is a very basic thing. But
if you can't read, you're dead in the water.
And there are a lot of people in our society that unfortunately
you're not going to succeed.
Cannot read. And so as we help people do that, we're helping them succeed in life.
Right.
We're also helping Nashville's workforce. And we could have a whole segment really on the things that we're doing that contribute to workforce development in Nashville. And with all the new corporations and businesses coming, there's never been a time when that's more important.
So wondering just about special book collections. First of all, are there do you have Braille books there for the blind?
Very few. We have an access division that has a few Braille books.
Okay.
With the talking libraries obviously are broadcasting, and we do have the ability in the equal access division. A few Braille books. We can get Braille books. We have other resources for folks that are challenged in different physical areas.
You know, it's interesting. The 10 most challenged book lists, and you guys provided these. I'm assuming Metro has all these books. Because, see, I would look at this list and want to go check out every single one of them and read it. So the fact that it's on the list is why I would go and get it. But I mean, some of these you'll have heard of, some of them you would not. He mentioned one, To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, of course, Of Mice of Men by John Steinbeck. Let's see, The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. Most of them have either complaints about racial stereotypes or sexual content, perhaps, profanity in some cases. But all of those 10 most challenged, when they are challenged, is it often that they're removed?
No.
No.
Not typically. And one of the things we often find is that the person that's challenged the book has not read the book.
Right.
They've heard about it.
Right.
And
or they see a little section out of context.
Right. And we really think it's important that each person judge whether a book's appropriate for them or not, and do so within that context. But the thing we don't want to do is pull a book because somebody else may find it relevant or helpful.
I just do not understand it. I mean, I remember there were some challenges, issues with some books when my son was in school and young, and parents, I don't want my little baby seeing that. I'm like, that's crap. I said, Huey, you can read the heck out of it. We're going to sit down and talk about it. If you're interested in it, read it. We're going to talk about it so you understand it, but to just ban it and to feel that somehow a book is going to permanently damage and taint your child. Some people shouldn't be parents, and they think they're being overprotective or taking care of their child, when actually they're harming them and not serving them well down the road. There's certain things I wouldn't want my son to have read. Like you said, some of the things that are very profane at a certain age, or gosh, anything obscene. But beyond that, Huey, I don't care how hard you are. If you're up for it, you want to read it, you read it, and we'll talk about it.
Right.
And we'll put it into context for you, and we'll move on. But we sure as heck ain't going to ban it because of some stupid parents that are complaining, oh, it's going to damage my child. It's mind-boggling. Well, and that's happening a lot in the schools, not as much in the libraries.
Yeah, well, we really encourage parents to interact with their children, too, when they're going through books. And if you read something or the child has a question, again, it's what we all call the teaching moment. But you have the opportunity to sit down and discuss an issue with the child and really thresh out what that part of the conversation should be about and what's appropriate for your family, because everybody can make decisions about what is appropriate for their family, but don't make decisions about what's appropriate for somebody else's family.
If those parents are really dead set against it, then whatever, but don't deny my son and my right to let him read these things and talk it over with him, because you're afraid that some book is going to rot your child's mind, which is absurd. All right, as far as moving forward with regard to the libraries, some great news that they'll be open on Fridays, which I think is awesome. Funding, you said, is better than ever before?
Well, certainly we've made some big moves this year, and I think we're going to have some more requests. Obviously, coming up, our big challenge is capital. We need to build some new branches. We need to do we have infrastructure issues. We had a lot of buildings built about 20 years ago, and they're in need of repair and replacement. So we've got a lot on our plate, but I'm confident with support that we're seeing that we're going to achieve some good results.
That's awesome. Let's take another call from Alana. Hi, Alana. Are you there? Hi, Alana. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yes, I was just going to say that your comments about some parents shouldn't be parents and, they just really don't know what they're doing and stuff like that by banning the books. I think it comes from a standpoint of fear and them trying to do what's best for their children. Not that I agree with banning books, but I just think that statement was a little rough.
Well, I think you're right. It probably comes from fear and misunderstanding. I hear you talking on that, but banning or censoring something instead of just talking it out with your kids, or just because you don't like it, trying to deny other parents the right to let their children see a book. I'm never going to be for censorship when you can talk things out. And we've heard, most of the people that want to ban these books haven't even bothered to read them. That's the problem.
Right. I just thought that was a little harsh.
Oh no, listen, you're right, and I feel thank you. You're right. Maybe it was a little harsh, but I really feel strongly about it. And the truth is, some parents just they're misguided, or they haven't thought it through, or they worry. And I think sometimes if you just take some time and make it a teaching moment instead of banning and locking it away and saying that's taboo, I don't want you having any access to that. That, frankly, for me, if my parents had done this, would have made it more appealing to me. I'd say, you know what, Mom and Dad's saying that, I'm going to do everything I can to take a look at that book. You know, instead,
Right.
talk it over, realize you understand why some of this might be offensive to some people. Sure. Can we talk about why that word isn't a good word and why you shouldn't use it, or maybe the context of it? Do that instead of banning a book. But I hear what she's saying, and I'm sorry if I came off as being a little bit harsh there, but clearly there's room to agree and disagree with this. But I get so frustrated with anyone that wants to censor or ban a book, you know, and it happens too often. It just keeps coming up. Be smart, be intellectual, think it through, and do what's best for your kids. If someone wants to donate to the library, what's the easiest way to do that?
Go online, look for the Nashville Public Library Foundation. Just Google it. You'll get there, and they have a donation button.
How many books in the whole system?
Oh, we have over 1 million.
I knew it. That's awesome. Over 1 million. And is that more than you would say? Like college, university libraries? They vary.
They're different. It varies on size, and
Yeah.
our focus is different. A public library is focused at popular material and some research.
Yeah.
But then you get into universities, and it's typically focused on research, so it's kind of a different thing.
Good point.
And you go into university libraries now, and you do see fewer and fewer actual books.
Yeah.
And they subscribe to a lot of online data resources.
Space issues and the like. But I'll say this, and it's wonderful that you can read online and such, but I just love still, and again, it's probably me. My son probably wouldn't agree. He reads a lot online. He's younger, different generation. But I like holding a book.
Well, I admit that I do too, but in my case, it's because, like you probably, I'm in front of a computer screen all day.
Yeah, so it's different.
And when I read for information or enjoyment, I like to hold
Yeah.
a book. I'm tired of looking at a screen all day.
Yeah, you can do a little bit of both, I
Yeah,
suppose.
yeah.
Hey, Kent, thanks for coming on today.
Oh, it's been my
Really
pleasure. And
Appreciate it. Yeah, keep doing the great work. I'm glad to hear things are doing well. And if you haven't had a chance to visit any of the libraries, and the downtown one is a wonderful, wonderful place.
And we have great branches, and I'll tell you, we have a dedicated staff.
Yeah.
And we have great staff at the Nashville Public Library that are all about making this community a better place to live.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Take a break, wrap things up right after this.